All right, welcome everybody to the first in a new video series and article that I'm going to do for comicbookinvest.com, where we're going to take a look at some cheaper books. I know I've been doing dollar bin digging a long time, but sometimes like that kind of restricts me in some of the books that we can end up talking about here. So I want to expand it a little bit more on that idea, but still give ourselves some limits of what we can talk about. So while I have been doing hidden gems for a while, I thought it was time to do something a little bit different and do something new. This also spins out of a comment that we got maybe about 2 weeks back on a recent CBSI Hot 10 article where somebody had asked if we had like a list of or an article about cheaper comics like 20 bucks and under, and it seemed like a good idea of something that we should pursue. And while I know this is not a novel idea, it's not an original idea of mine, I know other areas have done it. I think Key Collector has a whole category on $20 and under books. I think Comic Tom has even done a show at times where he's covered a very similar topic, but that doesn't mean that I can't give you my take on the same idea of giving us a limit of 20 bucks and under. So that is why I've come up with this Bargain Hunter show. So we're going to do this again. It's going to be an article too over on the site, as well as this quick little video. Haven't completely decided whether they're all going to be themed or not, or if I might do a hodgepodge. We'll see how this grows as we go. But for now, all I can say as far as the outlier goes is this is going to be a list of some $20 and under first appearances. So some cheaper books that you can still go and get if you like collecting first appearances or something you want to take a shot on, invest, speculate on, and see what may happen in the future. Hopefully you will enjoy this series, as hopefully you enjoy all the content here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing this channel. And yeah, for this week, I will let you know our topic is actually going to be the Children of the Avengers. So over the years, we've had a lot of future timelines, alternate universes, etc., and even characters that actually do exist in the regular 616. So this is going to be a list of some Children of the Avengers firsts that you can still get for pretty cheap. So hopefully you enjoy this, and if you want to see the first show, just hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right. So, as I introduced there, we are going to be doing the Children of the Avengers. Seems like a fun topic to do. I know we are eventually getting the Young Avengers, which may include some, kids from the Avengers in the MCU, but this isn't MCU related. This is more comic focused. And again, some things that, yes, some of the MCU stuff might drive some prices in the future. Maybe some what if things. Who knows? But the point being, for now, this is just a list of some comics that you can still grab for pretty cheap if you feel like going out there and digging. Part of this kind of spins out not only from, the idea of doing a $20 and under came again from that reader comment, but the topic actually came out of the recent Avengers Twilight book. So in the recent Avengers Twilight book, of which readers are getting issue 2 coming out this week, we were introduced to Tony Stark's kid, James Stark, in this, I guess, I don't know if it's alternate future or it's a future. It's a future for the Avengers with an older Cap, etc. And we did get introduced to James Stark, who is, again, the son of Tony Stark, introduced in this Avengers Twilight book 1. I think it's going to be like a 12-issue miniseries or something like that. I'm not sure how long it's going to run for, but issue 1 does give us that first, Tony Stark inside the guts there. This isn't the first panel he shows up on, but I'm going to show you inside that characters do exist along with some of the pricing information because it may be helpful. But we're not actually covering Avengers Twilight 1 because, again, this is the book that came out less than a month ago, so you can still go find this for cover. So obviously, this is one you can get for $20 and less because there are plenty of copies of this one still out there, even if you want to go and grab some of the incentives. But as I mentioned, this one kind of spawned the idea of the topic to cover for this first episode. So without further ado, let's look at some of the other characters that we can talk about that were spawns of either one or more Avengers characters. First up, we have Luna Maximoff, who showed up here in Fantastic Four number 240. She is the daughter of Pietro, Quicksilver, and Crystal, who was an Inhuman, but Quicksilver was an Avenger for a long time, so she is the daughter of an Avenger, and She first shows up again as a baby in this issue of Fantastic Four 240. So here she is, finally born. Part of the story is they got the whole pregnancy thing. This is not uncommon for this list too. There are going to be a lot of babies in this one, so a lot of baby spec. So if you don't like collecting baby spec, I didn't bother going through. Well, their first adult. No, this is they first appeared. They may be a baby, but they showed up. So this is their first. So here is her first in FF 240. Now, a book like this, you can see some copies that have sold reasonably as cheap as $3, $3. Look, you can go up to $10, but really, $3 to $5 is really the sweet spot for this book because it is not very expensive. Condition sensitive, obviously, but it's not that pricey of a book. So if you wanted to go and invest in Luna, here's your chance. Actually, for sale, we can see there might be some more expensive copies out there, but there's still $5, $6 copies, and then you have some $10 to $15 out there as well. Still, $20 and under, easy, cheap book that you can go and find if you want to go and go set this one aside. Again, for whatever reason, this character has been around forever. Like Luna has been around, and Peter David had her in his run on X Factor, I believe, for a little bit because you had Pietro in there, but the point being, this is not a new character. She's been around. Who knows? She'll come back in any sort of a prominent spot in the future of the comics and or the movies, TV. But it's just, again, a first appearance you can go and get for a relatively cheap price. Giving you the idea of what we're talking about here, right? Now, the ones you're probably thinking of are the ones that are in the MCU and already have heated up and cooled off and heated up and cooled off yet again to the point where, well, if you want them, you can still find the first Wiccan and Speed here. I know it's kind of sort of. We don't have to get into the minutia of the trying to figure out the whole Young Avengers where they're not really these twins. They kind of are. They kind of aren't. Weird multiversal universes and hex powers, and it'll give you a headache if you really try to make sense of it. Point being, the idea behind these two little kids being born was in Vision and the Scarlet Witch number 12, which is, again, a popular book and one that we've known about for a while. And their kids were born right there are the twins. Again, babies, baby spec in this issue. This is a book that still sells pretty good. $12 a lot of times, 10 to 15, in that range. Those are recent sales. Again, examples. And I'm only talking about raws. We're not going to be doing graded here because, again, we're talking cheap stuff. You're not going to really find slabs for $20 and under. So we're mostly going to be talking about raw comic books here. That's the sweet spot. Most of us are raw comic book collectors. Not everybody just only buys slabs. So that's what we're going to be focusing in on this particular show. So keep the slab stuff for another time. Granted, you can grade any of this stuff if you want to. Of course, the prices will go up. But if you're looking at what's available right now, you can see some auctions that can start as low as a penny, $6, some $20 asks there at the high, but you get it. It's $20 and under, even still. And we do know these two will be coming back, and they will be coming back as possibly part of this Young Avengers team that Kamala Khan started building there at the end of the Marvels. If you haven't seen it yet, which, again, it's not that bad. Again, I'm not telling you the Marvels was the greatest movie ever. Far from it. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. I think it didn't deserve a lot of the criticism that it got. It was just okay. Some parts I didn't care for, but there's other parts that I did like. And I did like the after credit scene where she went and started recruiting Kate Bishop for this new Young Avengers team. And we do already have Wiccan and Speed in that MCU, so we will probably see them again. That said, let's get on to our next book. Don't want to linger there too long. I don't even know how many I have on this list. I want to say it's close to 10, somewhere in that range. But let's just keep it rolling here for this first edition. Try it out. Let me know what you think. What kind of criteria and things would you like me more to talk about? I'm going to show you the book and tell you their first appearance. Now, I don't want to argue first appearances, though. Let's just get that right out. I don't want to argue first full versus full cameo. I'm just going to show you what's inside these books and why I put them here. You want to tell me they were in a preview edition of some Marvel previews beforehand? That's all well and good. But that's not the point. The point is, this is what's inside this book. This is under $20, and this is why I'm talking about it. And this is Nadia van Dyne, which is a free comic book day book. So free comic book day, Civil War II. I think it's like, 2016, 2015, somewhere in that range where this one came out. I think 2016. But inside, there's a whole mini story featuring Nadia van Dyne ahead of her, appearances in, what was that, Avengers? I don't remember, whatever. And then she eventually got her Unstoppable Wasp series or whatever. But here, First appearance of Nadia van Dyne inside this free comic book day book. This book, doesn't sell for much. Look, there's been some that sold as cheap as $1 at auction, $7, $10, $6, $12 there for a whole lot of other, Civil War II books. Because Civil War II was heavily printed and wasn't really that good as a miniseries goes or event goes. But with all that said, you get the point of the price. You also see the point of what's for sale. Auctions starting as cheap as like $3. You got some $6 buy it nows, $2 buy it nows, $10, $6. Point being, all pretty cheap, all relatively affordable if you want to take a shot on investing in the first appearance of Nadia van Dyne. I know it's a tricky ask considering she's showing up in a free comic book day book. And just because the book is free, and there are probably plenty out there, we still don't know exactly how many are out there because not all shops participate and not all shops order the same books. Granted, this is Marvel, so most of them probably grabbed this one because it was a Marvel. But when we talk about other things like those Umbrella Academies, etc., the One Punch Mans, like that, some of that stuff, some shops don't even bother. Like they don't order everything for a free comic book day just because. Or if they do, there's a few copies here, a couple, give me 2 of those. Like it's not all equal. That said, let's move on to our next book, or next character, I should say. Now, we could talk about Franklin Richards, but to be fair, this is not a $20 book. This hasn't been a $20 book in a long, long time. This is a very expensive book, costs way too much money. So this is off the table for what we are doing here. But I wanted to mention it because it does come in relation to the fact that we may get his sister, though, Valeria Richards, because she is still available and affordable for us if we want to do this $20 and under. Well, Franklin may be out of our price range with that first appearance of Annihilus as well in FF Annual number 6. This is Fantastic Four number 54 or Legacy number 483. 483. It's a 100-page monster, big old book. And in this book, Valeria was born and delivered and named by Dr. Doom. You got to read the whole story to get everything. But point being, this was her first appearance. And she is a very interesting character. She does inherit her dad's intelligence. And she is one of the smarter characters in the Marvel Universe, comic form, and potentially movies if we get her in the MCU. But with that said, what does this first appearance go for? Again, babies. They're all babies so far here. Cheap as, look, $1 at auction, $10, $10, $8.50. It's like a $10 book of most recent sales. Again, some of these going back into December. Asking prices out there on the market. Yeah, there's $10 copies, $12, $14 copies, $20 copies, as you can see. 2 covers, I think, on this one. Or is that... No, that's the issue before. So that's issue 50 and issue 54. Point being, born in this issue, first Valeria Richards. Because I think, didn't she show up in some future thing? We're not going to get into it again. So you can get a headache with some of these firsts, especially when we're talking about this timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. But Valeria Richards, maybe we see her. We still don't know what Fantastic Four we're getting. Were we getting Family Fantastic Four? We getting Young Fantastic Four? Seems like we may be getting Family Fantastic Four if they're going ahead with the rumored casting with an older character, an older actor like a Pedro Pascal. Not to say he's old, but he ain't going to be fresh off the boat Miles Teller in that other version that we got. So, with that, let's get into another character born in the 616 universe that we can count on as being a possibility, and that is Danielle Cage. Now, I'm showing you this book because everybody looks at this book because, well, she's on there on the cover, but this is just kind of a cover-only appearance because she ain't born yet. She hasn't shown up yet in the story. This is almost, you might even equate this to a dream. That might not actually be her. That could just be generic baby because that's where we're at in this story. It's not until 2 issues later with Pulse number 13. That was Pulse number 11, by the way, where she actually is born and shows up in the pages of the actual book. So here is where she actually is introduced. And you can see she's born with hair. So I think the other baby is just generic baby, not necessarily her. So I don't even want to call that first cover appearance because I don't think it's the same character. It's just generic baby because she's going to be having a baby. This is the first appearance of Danielle Cage in this book. And she's also kind of on the cover there, as you can see. With that said, this is still a relatively cheap book too. $2, $7, $10, $20 will get you a part of the lot. of the run of the Pulse. Asking prices here 6, 8, 5, up to like $20. I mean, that one's almost $20, but by and large, it's under $10. You can find plenty of copies for cheap. Now, with this, we can also expand into those weirder realms of headaches. Here's one for you. Ian Rogers. So he's sort of Cap raises him. He's kind of a clone, and then he's also part of Zola. Is again Dimension Z. It could get a little confusing, especially considering like he's an adult now and he's a nomad. But in this issue, Captain America 1 from what's this, like 2012? It's a Dimension Z run. This is the Rick Remender run on the series. You can see here at the end of that first issue, he runs off with the baby. The baby shows up earlier, like he's in a test tube while they're experimenting on Cap. And again, that's the whole thing. Read it and see if you can make sense of it, because again, there's all this timey-wimey stuff, and then you got Sharon Carter also is kind of his mom, because she kind of raises him for another stretch in this Dimension Z later, and then he comes back, like I said, as an adult, and then he's masked and he's Zola, but then he's the nomad. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But this book, look, I mean, this is under $1. This is definitely dollar bin fodder. I mean, look, those are selling at auction for 66 cents and 74 cents. Asking prices aren't much more. Buy it now is for $2.79, $1.55, $3, $2. $3.85 will get you to issues 1, 2, 3, and 4. So very, very cheap book regardless. And I know it's baby appearances. And then you got to worry about the appearances as an adult. People try to sell that book. I'm not talking about all that. I'm just going through with the very first time we see some of these characters, whether they be a baby or not. That's kind of where I'm putting them on my list. And it doesn't matter. Again, it's just cheap books to go and invest in, even if they take place in an alternate universe, future, whatever. So let's talk about Avengers Next, which was like a series of all these kids of the Marvel characters in the future, etc. And we can talk about the Pym's kids here, Big Man and Red Queen. So the Wasp and Ant-Man have a daughter and a son, and they end up becoming villains and forming the Revengers, whose first appearance is here. And you can see like these other characters, Sabreclaw, they all first appear here. But we're only talking about these two because these two are the kids of the Avengers, whereas some of the other characters are kids of other Marvel, characters. But again, here we go. Right away, inside the guts of the book, you see that they're introduced here. So granted, they're bad guys, but they're still kids of the Avengers. And this is still a book you can find out there. This is also, I'm sorry, it's Next number 12. It's the last issue, I think, of that series. You can see copies selling for like $5, $7. Like, it's not an expensive book. I'm sorry. That $7.50 is for the incomplete run. $7.50 for all 12 issues. But individually, $5, $4. Very cheap book. Copies for sale as cheap as $4, $6, $4, as high as like $10. Not expensive, but that's the point. That's what this point is. This list is for cheap books, bargain hunters. And yes, most of this is not going to pan out. Don't take this as, hey, Pete's telling you go invest in all these stupid Kid Avengers books like you're going to be rich one day. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you like hunting and searching for cheap books and taking a shot, who knows? You can take a shot. Most likely, 95%, 99%, nothing is going to come of these characters. But if you find it in a dollar bin or you find it in a back issue bin for like a couple of bucks, maybe you just take a shot just for fun. Can't this hobby be fun? That's what I'm talking about here. And that's why I talk about this stuff with the cheap books, because you can afford, hopefully, most of us can afford to buy books like that. We can take a shot for under $20 because it's not going to, break our bank. It's not going to, hopefully, cause us to not be able to pay our mortgage or rent or whatever if just buying one comic book. So that's the point of talking about this cheap stuff. With that, couple more. We're almost through it. A more recent one, a recent first appearance showed up here in Captain Marvel: The End, where we got Katy Barton, who is the daughter of Hawkeye and Black Widow. In this, again, future story, because it's Captain Marvel: The End, there's a bunch of other character firsts here too. A lot of other Marvel characters, kids. There's a Rogue and Gambit's kids in here, and a few others. Point being, And some of these have been Avengers, like other Avengers apart from just those two. But I'm just focusing on Katy Barton just for now because it's easiest. But she is at the bottom there, the little redhead because she's got Natasha's hair. But as I mentioned, there is the Rogue and Gambit's kid. Like she looks kind of like Rogue, but has Gambit's eyes, the black with the red pupils. Yeah, etc. Interesting story if you want to read it. But again, it's a future may never happen type universe, alternate timeline, crazy timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbliness. So chances of seeing the character again are who knows? Just like the old man Logan future and the all the different futures that could be, the Maestro, etc. Who knows what we might get? But it's an option. Even Danielle Cage showed up in Old Man Logan as Captain America in the future. She also showed up in another future, Danielle Cage, as a future Thor. So you don't know where these characters are going to go. And if they show up in any other media as well. But this particular book, again, even though it's a somewhat recent release, there's two covers, by the way. There's also, regular price covers. There's also a Peach Momoko. You can see this thing could sell for like as cheap as $3, but also could sell for, $11.50, $16.50. Asking prices here, well, $15 kind of range, mostly. That's not too bad for a semi-recent book. Just came out in 2020. It was only a few years old. You might be able to find it on a shelf still somewhere. If your shop doesn't take books off the new release wall and they just stack stuff on front, and just keep piling on. Could be buried in there. Who knows? But moving on, I think I got another one or two more, left in here. We're gonna go with another future sort of. This actually comes out of What If, and I've talked about this book before. But these are the battle. I'm sorry, Battle Word. It's Battleworld. Typo. Not gonna bother fixing it. The Battleworld Avengers. This is going off of the Secret Wars, how all the heroes and villains all got thrown together. If they all just kind of think that they got stuck there, and then they had kids, and then we've got this new team of Avengers eventually with what's it, Rogue and Steve Rogers, and she's holding Thor's hammer. All kinds of crazy characters and kids. Again, I talked about these ones before. It's still a book that you can find. You got Storm's kid in here too. Thor's got a kid, and everybody's got kids. All Avengers and X-Men and other characters, whatever, Marvel Universe, all in here. Interesting. Book can sell for $6 to $10, as you can see here. Even cheap. Look, one went for $1 at auction. Yeah, could be that cheap. Asking prices, auctions only is starting at like $3, sell for like $10. Yeah, it's like a $10 book. Again, not super duper expensive. Won't break your back if you decide to take a shot on it. But if you find it in the shop and you go, you know what, this seems kind of cool. Let me take a look. Let me take a shot. Who knows? Who knows, right? Nothing will probably come of it, but doesn't mean you can't just have some fun. With that, I got one more book for you, and this one also had a run for a while because of Black Panther 2. The Next Avengers. Now, this is another set of kids Avengers in the future, alternate timeline, etc. And this is the one because again I mentioned Black Panther 2 because there is Black Panther's son. It's like Zazie or something. I don't remember. It's not the same character. He didn't show up in the movies, but this was speculation at the time. And meanwhile, we got other Thor kids and Hawkeye kids and Cap kids, etc. All these characters that may or may never come to be because it's again there are possible futures in the Marvel universe, but it's still kind of fun. They showed up in Avengers #1 way back in 2010. That heroic age stuff. Still a relatively cheap book. Look, $2 to $10. That $10 is for the 1 in 25 incentive variant, by the way. $2 here, $4 there. Very, very cheap. They printed a lot of them. To be fair, they printed a lot, and there are incentives, as I mentioned, that you can get for a relatively good price. That's part of a connecting cover set by Djurjevic, that 1 in 25. So, but look, $10 for the 1 in 25 still ain't bad. I like buying that kind of stuff. What's actually for sale? You can see copies of this $4 to $10, and then there are some Azari. That's his name, Azari T'Challa, but not expensive. It's under $10, and then even the 1 in 25 there is also again listed for $20. Under ratio, cheaper type stuff. Point being, this is just fun stuff that I think you can go and find if you go digging in those boxes. $20 and under is the idea, and that is the point of me doing this article and this video. And that is my last one for today. Granted, there's more that I could have missed, and more could get to the topic. I could do this topic again. We can not do topics if you guys don't like topics. If you just want a hodgepodge of books, I can do that. But otherwise, I do have a few things I'm working on as far as lists go, so I can get back to doing this. Again, this is not going to be a regular, everyday weekly show. This is going to be in the rotation of things that I might throw out there. If you've noticed, I have had kind of slowed down on doing the Chasing Ghosts every week, mostly because running out of books to talk about. So I've talked about a bunch of books. I want to talk about them again. So after 100 plus episodes, things start getting a little tighter, and no harm in just doing shows more occasionally. Doesn't have to be a weekly. So that's kind of what my plan is to kind of mix up things here and there for you guys as far as the recorded stuff goes. I'll make sure I get you your Wednesday watch list so you know the new books that are coming out each week. I'm going to make sure I get you that CBSI Hot 10 every week, because you can't live without that list either. Outside of that and some of the live stuff like the tax show, the other recorded stuff I do, just do the stuff that I want to cover, the stuff I like covering, having fun. Things like this, I like this stuff. I like talking about this stuff. Hidden gems, chasing ghosts, even dollar bin digging, which I've even let some of the other boys take a shot at it, doing the article on comicbookinvest.com. I'll get back to it eventually. It's just, again, after doing that for years, I mean, I've written almost 300 of those articles. I kind of want to try something else. Just to be fair, I just kind of want to try different topics. Even I'm just slightly tweaking them, like this. This is just bargain hunting. It's still the same concept. Cheap books you can go and find. Some of them still possibly in dollar bins. Maybe not all. That's the point. Want to do more toys and things like that too, if possible. Hopefully you're on board for that. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Again, let me know what you think in the comments. It's, again, first run, first try at this. Still working on the whole set of materials, the deck presentation, what information I want to include, etc. But I found that in some of the other things I've been doing with all of like the CGC graded stuff and prices getting so expensive, I felt like I'm losing touch with what I do like to actually buy and hunt. Like, I like looking at graded stuff, but I don't buy many graded books. I buy this stuff. So that's why I wanted to do a show like this. And again, the new release stuff. I buy new release books because I buy books every week, because I read books every week. I do actually like comics. So with that all said, once again, not going to keep you any longer. Let me know what you think. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Hit the alert button, and I'll see you all soon with some more content. All right? Later.